If you're considering a move to Cypress, Texas, chances are you're not alone. In 2025, the 77433 Cypress zip code was rated one of the hottest zip codes in the whole United States. Now, there are a lot of great things about Cypress, Texas, and there's also some cons that might be a little harder to Google, and we're going to cover both. Hi, I'm Carolyn Bauerschlag, a local real estate agent helping people just like you relocate from all over the country right to our great area. Let's get to it. Let's start with the pros. Now, one of the obvious reasons that people move to Cypress, Texas is for the wonderful neighborhoods. Now, we have two really great master plan communities. The first is Bridgeland, and the second is Town Lake. Now, Bridgeland is massive. At completion, it's projected to be roughly 20,000 home sites that span all the way from the east side of Fry Road all the way over to the west side of Grand Parkway. It goes from 529 all the way up to 290 and just covers a huge swath of territory. Now, Bridgeland is really well thought out. It has every single amenity that you could probably hope for. They have waterways, pools, competitive swimming, they have tennis courts, pocket parks, trails, every amenity that you could really hope for. Their HOA is actually really very active as well, so there's a lot of community events that they host and social clubs that they have for residents. Town Lake is another really wonderful master plan community as well. It's a little bit east of Bridgeland that kind of runs up and down the Fry Road corridor over towards Barker Cypress. And it offers a lot of really great amenities too. Chief among them is the fact that it's supposed to be a town around lakes. So they have created a community where you can actually launch boats, do catch and release fishing, and really enjoy some water sports that you wouldn't be able to otherwise in central Houston. Town Lake is also famous for its boardwalk. You'll see a ton of mixed-use facilities there, including restaurants, shopping, and commercial businesses. They've got great green spaces where you can let the kids go and play. And I would say it's more or less the central hub or shopping area for Cypress. Those are our two primary master plan communities in the area when people think of Cypress, but there's also some older and smaller ones that I quite like myself, like Coles Crossing, Longwood, and then of course there's Fairfield, which some people call Farfield. Now, Cypress is also famous for its excellent schools. According to niche.com, Cypress Fairbanks ISD is an A-rated school district. Now, this is no small feat because Cy-Fair ISD has 12 high schools. What that kind of equates to is a student population that's edging up past 120,000 students. And this kind of makes sense to me, right? Because Cypress is adjacent to kind of the Houston city center. It touches right up against Beltway 8. It's got easy access to 610. So if you still need to get to and from work and you want excellent schools for your kids, Cypress is a natural place to be. So it's no wonder to me that the population growth and the student count really is as high as it is. If you enroll your child in Cy-Fair ISD, you're going to have great access to all the things that you would hope for, like college preparedness with AP classes. You're going to have great athletics. They have 2 stadiums to accommodate all the things with these high schools. You'll have auditoriums, you'll have social clubs, you'll have vocational opportunities if you want to do licensing instead of pursuing a different type of higher education. So really, it's kind of choose your own adventure once you get to the high school space. You really can't go wrong with a choice in Cy-Fair ISD. Cypress is also home to Lone Star Community College, which is a great choice for a ton of people who choose to get their basics out of the way for the first year or two after they graduate high school. So the main campus for Lone Star is in Cypress, and then they have satellites all throughout Houston. But if you are going to pursue kind of your basics here at a community college level, it's an excellent opportunity for you to do so right in your backyard. Another pro of living in Cypress is that the dining and shopping options have gotten better in the last 10 to 15 years. It kind of used to be no man's land, like you'd keep driving and there was not really a lot of grocery stores in sight. And y'all know that my favorite grocery store in the whole world is H-E-B. Bridgeland recently got their H-E-B, I would say within the last year or so. There's another one along the 290 corridor by Fairfield or Farfield. And I would say that one's the one that people access when they're living north of 290. Tons of pizza places. So if you're into pizza, we hold strong with our highest pizza per capita count in Cypress, Texas. But they also have a lot of great Asian dining, Indian sushi, Italian, whatever you want, it's probably going to be available to you there. Another pro of living in Cypress is that 290 is massively improved over the last 10 years. Now, a few years ago, I would say it was rather scary to get onto 290. Like they used to have the entrance lane just dumped straight into 60 to 70 mile an hour traffic, which as a native Houstonian, being used to that, it was absolutely terrifying. So I, for one, was very pleased to see that they expanded 290 to include kind of exit and entrance ramps that are independent of like regular traffic. And they also added an HOV lane to make sure that if you are commuting downtown or to the Beltway, that's something that you can hop onto with a buddy. I believe there's a toll access there as well if you want to take it during peak hours and it's just you. But the egress ingress out of Cypress used to be a major issue, and I would say now it's vastly improved. The Grand Parkway also was expanded to connect to 290. So the Grand Parkway runs north and south from, well, it goes around the entire city, but it connects at 290 and goes all the way down to I-10, which gives you easier access into the places like Bridgeland and Town Lake. It's just yet another thoroughfare. So I would say the expansion of 290, the connection of Grand Parkway to 290 really improved how it feels to live in Cypress. Another pro of living in Cypress is that 290 is a rather short shot into town. So if you need to get to the Beltway or if you need to get to 610, I would say getting on a 290 and then getting to those places is relatively short. Instead of like if you think about living in Katy or Fulshire, you kind of have to mosey out of your neighborhoods for quite a long period of time before you make it to a major freeway. I would say when you're living in Cypress, it's relatively easy to get onto 290 and then a rather short distance to get to Beltway, which would take you to the Energy Corridor, or 610, which would take you to the Galleria. So if you're living or commuting in these areas and you need to get to work sooner than later, I would say these are excellent options for you. Conversely, if you spend a lot of your time on the weekends trying to get to Austin or the Hill Country or College Station or Brenham or Navasota, anything kind of out the Northwest Corridor, 290 out the northwest side has also been massively expanded. So it's quite easy and very short to get to all those great places too. Now let's take a look at some of the cons. No matter how you cut it, traffic is horrendous, right? So 290 is better, 99 is better, all of these thoroughfares are larger, but ultimately, you're going to deal with a heavy concentration of people in Cypress, Texas. I mentioned to you earlier that it is kind of one of the closer suburbs into town, which means that you really haven't escaped that high density yet. So for instance, Barker Cypress at 290, no matter what time of day you are trying to commute around that intersection, it is always going to take you a while to get where you need to go. Another thing to think about is while 99 or the Grand Parkway was expanded and connected to 290, in between 290 and I-10, that whole west side of commuting in Cypress is toll, right? So if you're going to go up and down that road, it is going to cost you. It's not just a freeway for you to take advantage of, right? So those are two things to kind of consider, is that during peak commuting traffic and at Barker Cypress, no matter what, you're going to be running into quite a few people. Another really important consideration when moving to Cypress, and I would say a potential con, is that Cypress can be very flood prone. Now, the zip code 77429 and 77433 themselves are not as flood prone as maybe other areas of what I consider Cypress. But I would say the watershed coming off of Cypress Creek or Cypress Wood really took on a lot of water during heavy rains during the Tax Day floods, the Memorial Day floods, Hurricane Harvey, so that's 2015, 2016, 2017. There were a lot of homes that really took some very heavy hits. So while kind of on the north side of 290, where these watersheds run, you have really beautiful trees, creeks, waterways, the look of nature. Be aware that that nature does come at a price when we get heavy rains, right? So I would say whenever you're buying your home and you're moving to Cypress, do not ignore someone's seller's disclosure that says that they're in the 500-year floodplain. You want to make sure that it's in the 500-year, but also didn't flood during any one of those particular weather events. There's not a whole terrible ton that's straight up in a 100-year floodplain or something that has a 1% chance every year of flooding. But that 500-year watershed really did put off quite a bit of water during those flood events. Another somewhat hidden con that I would say you would have to be a local or know a local to be aware of is that the elementary schools within Cy-Fair ISD are open concept. Now, this is super foreign to a lot of people. As a native Houstonian, this was actually very surprising to me. So I think there was a study or a school of thought or something that came along maybe 20, 30 years ago where it was thought that children would benefit from more open concept learning environments within an elementary class or elementary setting. So if you can imagine grade levels, kids are grouped by grade levels, but their classrooms are only separated by shelves or storage units. The idea, I think, was that it was supposed to be a collaborative learning environment, that you're supposed to learn from the people that are around you. But essentially, I think what it's created is a lot of ambient noise. Like if you have children who perhaps attend to a lot of different sounds or stimulus, maybe their focus is a little bit harder to maintain, right? And so here we are in 2025. This experiment's gone on for quite some time. As it turns out, it maybe isn't as good as what they hoped it would be. And so Cypress Fairbanks is undergoing some renovations to the classrooms at the elementary level to convert these open concepts back to a more closed or traditional classroom unit. So if your child is someone that you think would struggle in an environment where it's rather open air, this might be something for you to reconsider if you're thinking about Cypress. Another con of living in Cypress is that growing pains are real. I mentioned to you earlier that 77433 is one of the hottest zip codes in the whole United States. What that means is a ton of people are coming in rapid success, right? So when you see a ton of people move into an area, the very first question I have is, are the municipalities set up? Are the schools set up to really be able to handle as many people as are coming in? One of the chief complaints that you will hear amongst parents in these particular areas is that bus service is a nightmare. So if you have a child that you want to stick on a bus, the rule for the last couple of years was that you were not eligible for bus service unless you were 2 miles or more away from a school. Now, if you kind of put a narrative to that, imagine you have a 7-year-old and you live 1.8 miles away from the school. Are you going to stick your 7-year-old on a bicycle and have them cross major roadways that may or may not have a crossing guard during rush hour? The answer to that's probably no, right? So if you are a parent and you're considering where you want to live, I would say you either need to be probably right on top of a school so that commute is very short for you as a parent, or maybe consider looking elsewhere. For the 2025 school year, Cypress Fairbanks ISD said that they did get their budget worked out so that bus service could be reinstated for folks who are closer in than 2 miles. But these budget issues come and go, right? And it's not the fault of the district. It's legislative things that happen at the Texas level. And it's issues with bus drivers, with capacity, with the number of students that are relocating in or out of a school district every single year. So even though it's fixed for 2025, it might not be something that you can depend on going forward. And the last con that I have for you for living in Cypress, Texas, is that they seem to somewhat be exposed a little bit more to weather extremes. Now, Houston in general has caught the news attention for a lot of our floods, our freak storms, the derecho, losing power, all kinds of stuff in the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And for some reason, poor Cypress seems to kind of take the brunt of this. So some of it is the watersheds, kind of in that Cypress Creek area, or the Cypress Wood area north of 290. But I think some of it really is just the wind shear that comes in from the northwest, right? So if you imagine Cypress is kind of on the northwest bubble of Houston, when major storm systems come through, Cypress has kind of taken the shear or the full force of whatever is coming that way. So during the derecho of 2024, which was that freak windstorm, those 100-mile-an-hour winds bent the transformer towers that supplied Houston with power literally in half, right? And so when you're on the westward edge of something, just be mindful that there is nothing between you and the elements. So either move a little bit more eastward or just be prepared for that to be a potential possibility. We're seeing a lot of people consider more strongly generators, having generators installed at their home, which is not something that you would think is necessary, but here we are. So if you are considering a move to Cypress, those are some cons to put in your back pocket. If you're considering a move to Cypress, I would love to be your realtor. I'm a living, breathing person right here in your backyard. If you found value in what you watched here today, I would love to have you subscribe. Click the link below so that you can see the content that we put out like this every single week. See you soon.
This is special.